Back at you here on the Morning Brew. Larry Aarons with co-host Aaron Muffaletto. And happy Friday to you guys. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms, especially this mom here. Our Bernalillo County DA, Kari Brandenburg, joins us here at the table. Happy Mother's Day in advance.
Thank you.
I appreciate you and your family.
That. Yes.
Yeah.
I have a mom that we're going to celebrate with.
Yes, you do, don't
I have
you?
4 children, so we'll be celebrating on Sunday.
That's a big day at your house.
That's
then.
a big day, yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
I tell my kids all they want is peace and quiet. Just peace and quiet.
That's the biggest gift they can give you.
If you give that to me, I'm a happy camper.
Nice.
So.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I've met your family before, and it's a great group. You're lovely people, and I don't know how you manage all the family stuff with this big job that you have.
You know, when they were little, it was even, more difficult because my baby wasn't yet potty trained. He should have been, but he wasn't when I was campaigning for office a long time ago. And someone said, how can you do your job and go home to all of these kids that are doing, crazy things or being kids? Mm-hmm. And I thought, I think it grounds me because I go home and someone put a bean in their nose and then we're off to the emergency room. And then I come back and I can't remember what I'm supposed to be worrying about.
Yeah.
So it really grounds me and it gives me a different focus, and then I get back to work and I'm a little bit more refreshed. So I think that it works.
Yeah, you have your work-life balance, so that's great.
It's not much of a balance really, but in reality, but they complement rather than detract.
Yeah, and I think that's great that you're actually the first woman elected to this position. And how has that been for you, being a woman? Was that a big challenge for you at first, or?
Well, I don't view it as I'm just a professional, doing the job. But my father was the one that noticed some of the things that he didn't like in the campaign because I was a woman. I didn't notice it. And then I see myself all the time on panels or in groups, and I'm the only female there. Yeah. And it seems kind of strange, but I think that it is changing. We're getting more and more women involved and into elected office. Yeah. So we've got good things to look forward to. It was important to me to show my daughters, and I guess my sons as well, that a woman can do whatever she wants just like a man if she puts her mind to it.
Definitely.
Now, a lot of people don't realize, but you and the other DAs in the various counties are very close-knit, and you communicate quite a lot. In fact, you meet quite often, don't you?
Right. We meet about once every month to 2 months. We constantly have emails going back and forth. There's 14 DAs throughout the state. I'm one of those 14, and we try to avail ourselves of others' intelligence and experiences, and if they have any specific case issues. And I think it's better for everyone in New Mexico that we do that.
Yeah, and for our viewers, tell us a little bit about what the district attorney does in comparison to just a regular attorney.
Okay, basically a district attorney is a prosecutor, and they're charged with the responsibility of prosecuting anyone who commits a crime within their jurisdiction. And so we have judicial districts. I'm part of the 2nd Judicial District, which is Bernalillo County, which is the most heavily populated area in the state. And I think we probably prosecute about 35%, if not a little bit more, of all of the criminal cases in the state of New Mexico. And so anyone that commits a criminal offense, we are charged with prosecuting them and holding them accountable.
Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but Kari actually runs the biggest law firm in town,
in
a way, because how many attorneys do you have on staff?
We have about 120 attorneys on staff.
Wow.
Our entire office is about 300 people, and it is larger than the AG's office and larger than any other law firm in the state of New Mexico. So there's a lot of administrative responsibilities.
Wow, that's amazing.
You have this administrative responsibility, and you have the legal responsibility that you have to carry out, that make sure that all the cases are progressing, and you must have a great management team with you.
I have incredible people in the office. I always say I've got the best job because I work with incredible people, and whenever I have a down day, they have an up day, and they get me going again. So yeah, it's just wonderful to be working with the people that I get to work with every day.
And on the crime note, now there's always crime on TV.
Right.
Now, has it been going up or down?
I think different crimes go up and down at different times. I mean, violent crimes will go up and then they'll go down. Property crimes will go up. And we're so involved in what we're doing, and we have such limited resources. It's really hard to track what's happening and why it's happening. And the police department is able to do a little bit of that. But we're mostly just running and trying to do our job. But we do notice like domestic violence is down for some reason, right now a little bit. Violent crimes seem to be going up a little bit. New Mexico's got a real problem with guns. More people commit crimes with guns in New Mexico than other states. And a lot of our guns here are involved in crimes in other states as well. So we tend to be more violent in that regard. And if someone is shot, they're more likely to die than if they're stabbed. I mean, that makes sense.
How much, and here you are on the media, but how much has media affected your job? Because and I'm talking about the new social media and everything else. Everybody's so connected now, and we're day to day, and we're following trials and all of this. How has that affected your work and how you deal with the public?
I think that in some ways it's been advantageous, because an important part of what we need to do is public education. Let people know these are the cases we have, these are the issues we deal with. This is like a trial, and it's not all exciting. It's not like watching CSI on TV.
Right.
On the other hand, I think that sometimes the media, especially the print media, is struggling to survive, that they get engaged in creating controversies just so they can stay alive, and doing a disservice to the community. And I certainly believe in the First Amendment. And I believe in the media. I think it's critical. But because of the competitive business, sometimes I wonder if we're all serving the community. And if we're not, then we need to reevaluate that.
Right. And it hasn't really been too much in the news lately, but about the officer-involved shootings.
Right.
Now, how have those been handled?
No, for 30 years, they've been sent to a grand jury. A citizen panel reviews them. They have testimony under oath. They can subpoena, and then they make a decision whether or not the case should be presented for indictment, or whether they believe it was a justified shooting, or whether they need more information. And this is one of the areas the media got real involved, and I think put pressure on the courts. And the court said, well, we're not going to do that anymore, because we don't want to be part of this controversy. And so now we're doing it all internally. And making reports. We're posting them on our website with police reports attached and officer statements. The problem is we can't subpoena. We don't have the power to subpoena. The statements that are given aren't given under oath. So I don't think it's as good. And I really like a citizen, panel from the community reviewing it and saying, this is what needs to be done or not. We don't have that choice, and so we're pushing out those reports. We started in, January 24th was when the court said we're not going to let you use the grand jury anymore. And so far we've published 6 officer-involved shooting reports on our website, and we're trying to make them as transparent and give as much information to the public as possible so they can decide what they believe.
Talk a little bit, Kari, about this whole plea bargain issue. All the citizens out there want the bad guys locked up.
Right.
Everybody does. But to get there, sometimes you have to plea bargain.
I always say a plea bargain, it gets a bad rap, but most civil cases resolve, most criminal cases resolve 96% or more. And if they didn't, then our courts, the whole system would break down. And more criminals would be out on the streets. So really, plea bargains are to the benefit of everyone. We don't enter into a plea bargain unless it's a bargain for the state and the people of Bernalillo County.
So you turn them down all the time?
No, if we do offer a plea bargain, we turn down, we'll offer a plea bargain, the defense will counter, and we say no. We don't think that's right. But when you plea bargain, you've got a conviction, guaranteed, and you've got no appeal. And lots of families want to plea bargain. Victims and families of victims say, we want a plea bargain. We don't want to go to trial. We don't want to roll the dice, because you never know. And our juries are getting much more sophisticated and much more demanding, and they watch CSI.
Sure.
And they want every bit of evidence, including a videotape of the crime.
Right.
We don't have that most of the time.
And is justice always done through that process?
After having been involved in the system for more than 30 years, I can say that justice generally is always done. I mean, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, it's done. And that's a miracle, because we are dealing with such limited resources that it's done. It's done because people care that work in the system, because the community cares, and we're all fighting for the same thing. And I think we get there most of the time.
On TV, they solve the crime and have the trial all in an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I wish we could do that.
What is, just give me an average ballpark, what's a timeline for a trial and a case to be resolved?
We're looking at a year to 2 years.
Amazing.
The more complex. Astorga took 6. Over 6 years. We've got a case that's going to trial in June, a double homicide that is that old as well, because it's gone up to the Supreme Court on 2 separate issues.
Wow.
And so it can take a long time. And part of that, again, is lack of resources. The courts have overwhelming dockets. And so even if we're all ready and everybody's ready, the court's got to fit it in and make time.
And has Astoria been one of your most interesting, or
It's
has there been
fascinating.
any?
It was fascinating because of the death penalty issue, the repeal of the death penalty,
Right.
the capital jury, lots of legal issues. And it was a fascinating case. I'm looking for another one. I need more to do.
Hey, Kari, great to see you. The
Thank
door
you.
is always open here at the Morning Brew for you to come in and join us.
I appreciate
We'd love
that
to
very
have you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Kari Brandenburg. Kari is the Bernalillo County District Attorney with us here at the big table on the Morning Brew.